Welcome to the 2015 World Jet Boat Championships, brought to you by Outlaw Eagle Manufacturing and Tidy Trucking. What a great turnout of 52 competitors representing 4 countries from Mexico, New Zealand, USA, and of course, Canada. Veteran racer and race captain Brian McGregor is hoping for all racers to start off the worlds clean on day one.
Hopefully they stay slowed down tomorrow, be in the Wapadee's Low, and get that adrenaline rush kind of out of their system, and they all make it here back safely tomorrow.
The rivers are lower than normal for this time of year in Western Canada, so this might level the playing field for the international competitors coming in from around the world.
Yeah, it's quite different. At home we're probably 125 miles an hour tops. We're over here, the guys are now doing 150. So
we've had just a blast coming to Canada and racing your guys' rivers, and the best competition in the world is up here in Canada.
The Canadians always put on a great show, both as organizers as well as competitors, and this year is no different. The Canadians are taking this year seriously and are looking to take top spots in their home country.
We improved the turbine this year, so we went to a 1500 horse where guys like Chad would only run the little 1385s.
I'm just going to race my own race. Gord will create his own troubles on his own. We're good there.
Any last words you guys want to?
As you can see.
Oh, and thanks for Team Bad Habit for lifting a turbine out the day before the race.
I live in Grovedale. We're only 10 minutes from the river. We've been doing lots of pre-running, lots of testing. Basically, the river is like the back of my hand.
We've just been fortunate enough not to have anything for crashes and finish these races. I think that's the important thing.
We're just going to try and run a clean race and lay down some good times at the start and hopefully get a little cushion for the last couple of races.
Now that we've heard from some of the competitors while they do their last-minute preparations at the Show and Shine, let's take a look at the 2015 World's Race Course. The race takes place in Western Canada and is broke up into 2 provinces. The first day of racing takes place in Grande Prairie, Alberta. Then racers travel 200 kilometers northeast to Peace River, Alberta, for 1 day of circuit races and 1 day of leg racing. One down day allows racers to travel the 270 kilometers to Taylor, BC, in preparations for day 4 and 5 of racing there. Following Taylor, racers get yet another down day before having to travel the 460 kilometers to Whitecourt, Alberta for the final 2 days of racing for the marathon where the world champions will be awarded. Day 1 starts off at the Highway 40 bridge just south of Grande Prairie and runs 45 miles upstream to Wapiti Gardens. Then, in the afternoon, Leg 2 takes racers back on the same course to where they started in the morning, totaling 90 miles of racing in 2 legs. Racing on day 1 consists of 1-minute interval starts for racers one at a time, and the first racer away is Chad Burns in Bad Habit. As Chad makes his way upstream, we hop on board with John Derry in his unlimited boat going places.
Tell us a little bit about the setup you got going here.
yeah, it's a 23-foot Brett with a hopefully a good turbine. We're actually on to number 3 turbine, so let's see. Fingers crossed. But yeah, it runs good. It runs strong. We've got a little less power than some of the other turbines, but yeah, it's a long race. So hopefully we're at the finish line. It's the plan.
Here's our first look at the only piston-powered unlimited boat racing this year. This is Spencer King and his Mercury-powered twin-turbo, which makes around 1,350 horsepower on premium pump gas. We'll be sure to keep an eye on him throughout the marathon and see how he does against these turbines. The next unlimited racer past the Velocity Helicam is Gord Humphrey. Gord's the current UIM World Champion, winning the title last year in Mexico. He'll be looking to keep his title streak alive here in Canada. Rick Hollingworth sporting the CDN1 badge, which means he's the current Canadian Series overall champion and is making up time by not letting off much through these really tight sections of river right here on the Wapiti. Fast forward a little bit here, and our first look at the U-Spec boat of Sean Young past our ground camera. Not too far behind Sean is Dwayne Thomas in his U-Spec boat, Unforgiven. Here's our first look at one of the Mexican competitors. This is Juan Quiroga in his unlimited boat, Halcon. This shot gives a pretty good look at how skinny some of these sections of river are. We hop on board with Randy Tinnant as he gets a little off the deep water line in a couple of corners, but makes it through and keeps on racing. We're on board now with A-class competitor Mark Rodeker. He's putting the chase on Troy Lynn in Irish Rebel. After some battling and a real wet ride, Mark's able to get a clean line and pull past Troy, making great time up the Wapiti. Here's our only A-class competitor from New Zealand. This is Steve Shearing. Jeremy Hand get around him on the inside of the corner. Jeremy's definitely taking advantage of the home course here. After some awesome racing in Leg 1 of the World Championships, all boats made it upstream to the finish line. And as racers sit through the drivers' meeting covering Leg 2, they know that they'll either have to start catching the boats who've already started to show quick times or stay ahead of the competition behind them.
BDN 1.
The racers all start in the same order as Leg 1, so we start off once again with Chad Burns out of the gate. Now following along with USA racer Ross Schlotauer.
We just try to get a good, stable setup that works in upriver, downriver. A lot of people change setups for every leg. And we just try to get a stable setup that's reliable. And we run it pretty much all the time.
This is Ross's first run in Canada with his new Unlimited boat. And it looks like he's doing really well and turning a fast time representing that USA 1 title here in Canada. Now we're on board with Sean Young in his U-Spec boat, taking off from the start line. As you can see, there's some rough sections along this Wapiti, and headed downstream is a little tougher to see the choice lines to take. Oh no, you saw saw Sean take that line and running out of water. Unfortunately, he hooked his bow and threw him into a spin, landing him up on dry ground. That's really unfortunate for him to be kicked out of the marathon so early on in the race. Back downstream now, and we're on board with CDN1, and Rick is pulling past John Derry in the unlimited class. Rick really has his turbine working solid headed downstream. The next boat past our shore camera is U-Spec New Zealand racer Rob Pooley. On board with Mark Rodeker again, and hold on as he gets a bit of a ride. Looks like his wings are a little out of adjustment. Hopefully that doesn't hurt his time too much on the way downstream. On the leg upstream, we saw Jeremy Hand have a blistering fast run. Looks like he's having another great run here. And he gets around the A-class boat of Stephen Shearing. On board now with local Grovedale racer Barry Fenton. Barry mentioned he had a slight home course advantage, and it's really showing here as he flies past Stephen Ford and touching some rocks as he does it. A little farther downstream now and still on board with Barry as he's getting around fellow Peace Country racer Darren Cage. Barry's got to be happy with this run he's starting off with on this World Marathon. Moving into the FX class now. We're following Nathan McLeod as he nears the finish line, and you can see a wake of the boat in front of him. As we get to the finish line, you can see Grant Schraffnagel coming in just behind him as well. As boats are making their way across the finish line and eventually to the boat launch at Magoo's, some boats aren't so fortunate. As you can see, Chad Lasiuk in his brand new CX boat is unfortunately taking a tow back to the launch courtesy of our volunteer support boats representing the Grand Prairie River Rats. As the racers are pulling out of the launch and starting to make their way to Peace River, let's check the results following day one. In the Brat Jet Unlimited class, local racer Rick Hollingworth took advantage of his home course, finishing the 90 miles in only 36 minutes and 43 seconds, putting him ahead of second-place boat Darren Weaver by almost 20 seconds. Gord Humphrey is close behind in third place, while American racer Ross Schlotauer is in fourth. Chad Burns is sitting well amongst the big boats in his short 21-footer, and Spencer, in his piston-powered twin-turbo, is just off the pace in sixth. The New Zealanders are all packed together from 7th to 9th, but all finishing within that 40-minute mark, so they're well in the mix this early in the race. Finally, Mexican racer Juan Quiroga comes in 10th in the Unlimited class. The Carlin Services Unlimited Spec class saw American racer Ryan Rogers finish in first place. Peace River racer Dwayne Thomas had an awesome day one, finishing second, and Louis Rosema is in third. New Zealand racer Rob Pooley is only 1 second behind Louis in fourth. After an unfortunate DNF on the downstream run, Patty went from second to fifth on the day. The Peace River Heating A class is led by Mark Rodeker, followed by Tim Greber, Randy Tinnant, Steve Shearing, and Mike Rowe. The Compression Technology CX class saw Jeremy Hand setting the fast time at 45:53, with the big excitement coming from New Zealand racer Jason Young edging out the highly competitive 18 other CX boats behind him for that second fastest time. Brian Freeland finished third, and American racer Trevor Yoakum finished fourth. Barry Fenton took advantage of his home course and is sitting in fifth spot. while Ivan Buchholz, Randy Howe, Travis Hodges, Derek Nelson, and Kyle Petluck round out the top 10. In the Avenge Oilfield Services FX class, Nathan McLeod came out strong, posting a fast time at 51 minutes flat. Local Grand Prairie racers Craig Sparks and Kelly Locke finished second and third, while New Zealand racer Cameron Moore finished fourth. Fifth was Gage Dennis, followed by Colton Houston, Grant Schraffnagel, Chase Bagan, and James Lawrence. Great representation by all four countries as we move northeast up to Peace River for day 2 of the World Marathon, consisting of 2 circuit races on the Peace River, approximately 40 miles in length each. The first circuit races north from Peace River, around an island, and back down under the Highway 2 bridge. 5 laps on this circuit makes up the 40-mile length. Then, in the afternoon, racers take off again from town, heading south or upstream on the Peace River, around an island and back down to the Highway 2 bridge. A game consisting of 5 laps, making up the 40-mile distance. Racers gather around for Brian McGregor to host the morning drivers' meeting, reviewing the race courses for the drivers to follow. The FX heat is first up, with all 9 FX boats taking to the river. Unlike the long directional legs, circuits pack boats together in heats of anywhere from 4 to 10 boats at a time, racing on a closed circuit. It's a lot more action for the fans and definitely a lot more action for the drivers. Off the start now, at the very top of your screen, Nathan McLeod gets a great jump off the line, while Gage Dennis right in behind him. Craig Sparks, though, is making up ground on Gage and is moving towards that second spot. Approaching that downstream corner now, and Cameron Moore on the left of your screen moved to third place. Kelly Locke's following right in his wake, getting around Gage as well. We'll move to the ground camera now as these 3 race past. We're on board now with Chase Bagan. James Lawrence is making a move on the outside, while Colton Houston moves in on the inside. These 3 are racing for 5th place at the moment. Fast forward through this lap now, and Chase is closing on Gage, while on the outside, Grant Schraffnagel has got a great run going after a really slow start. On board now with Grant taking the outside line on the top corner and getting around Gage as they head back downstream. Nathan McLeod still remains your leader, while Kelly Locke is working at getting around Cameron Moore for that 3rd position. While these 2 are fighting each other for 3rd place, here comes Grant with some speed, setting himself up for the inside line on the top corner. We'll hop on board again with him. An inside line cost him a bit of time on Kelly and Cameron there, but he's right back into the throttle, heading downstream. On board with Kelly now, and Grant's getting around on the left side of your screen. A little farther in on this lap, and Kelly is now moving around Cameron for that 4th position. Coming down to the final lap now as Grant's managed to get around Craig for that 2nd spot. What a great run he's had, going from dead last to 2nd place. He's got to be happy with his run here. As all that action takes place behind him, Nathan McLeod cruises to victory in this FX class, adding to his overall lead from yesterday. Following both circuits today, we'll total up the aggregate times and give you the class standings. Now for the start of CX Heat 1. At the top of your screen, that's Joel Larson in the white boat having an awesome start. While at the very bottom of your screen, Mexican racer Luciano Blanco also quick to get away from the pack. In the middle of your screen, you can see Rick Serhan getting past Trapper Woolsey, moving him up to second behind Joel. In the bottom corner now, and Rick's got the lead with Trapper behind, Joel third, Darren Cage fourth, and Luciano fifth. At the bottom corner, the boat starts spreading out a bit now, with Rick still leading, Trapper second, Darren third, Joel fourth, and Luciano fifth. And as the rest of the race plays out, the boats stay in their positions, with Rick winning the first heat of CX races. We'll dive right into the start of this second CX heat race, and at the top of your screen, Travis Hodges gets off to a great start with Kyle Petluck second and Derek Nelson third. Getting closer to the bottom corner now, and Jake Barney moved into second place, Kyle sitting third, Derek now fourth, and in the inside line, that's Greg Balderston fifth with Stephen Ford sixth, and Trevor Provost running just out of the screen in seventh. Coming to the bottom corner now, we'll let you sit back and watch the action. Heading back upstream now, and Stephen Ford took a great inside line and was able to jump up from sixth to third. Top of your screen, Derek's making a move on Kyle as well for fourth position. Great tight racing in this second Compression Technologies CX Class heat. Up to the top corner, and Stephen's got the inside line on Jake Barney. As we hop on board with Jake, you can see just how much faster that line is in these CX boats. Coming out of the corner, you can see the distance Stephen put between he and Jake through that corner. Trevor Provost still running fourth, Derek fifth. And if you look at the top of your screen, you can see a boat sitting motionless in the water there as Kyle races past the corner. That's Greg Balderston. Looks like he's had some troubles in the corner. We'll hop on board with his roll bar cam to see if we can review what may have happened to him. Here, he's coming into the corner, chasing Derek Nelson, and as he makes the turn, he just skips out a bit, and he heads straight for the bridge pillar, hitting the pillar and sliding off to the side. He manages to keep the motor running, but you can see some damage has been done to the boat. That's unfortunate for Greg after having a good run going here in Heat 2 of the CX boats. Now onto the final corner, and Travis leads. Trevor now moved into second. Stephen now third. Jake fourth. Derek fifth. And Kyle sixth. And that's how they finish an exciting Heat 2 in the CX class. Now into the start of the third and final heat of the CX competitors. These are the 7 fastest CX boats based on day times from Leg 1 and 2 in Grand Prairie, so you're sure to see some tight racing here. Right into the center of your screen, Ivan Buchholz gets off to a great start with Jeremy Hand at the top getting away second. Barry Fenton is in the orange boat running third, and Jason Young fourth. Hop on board with the 5th place boat, Trevor Yoakum. You can see Trevor's really working that wheel, trying to find the smoothest water possible and the fastest line. This is one of the difficulties you're going to face if you get a slow start in a circuit race, dealing with all the wakes and roost ahead of you. Down to the bottom corner now, and Jeremy's leading with Brian now 2nd. Ivan sits 3rd, Jason 4th, and Trevor 5th. Back upstream, and Trevor's trying to get around Jason for 4th, and you can see Jason's boat getting upset there, costing him some valuable speed as it almost looks like Trevor grabs another gear and goes around him. You can see this better in a replay from the Velocity Helicam, just how important that clean water is in the circuit races. You can see Trevor's running just on the edge of that wake while Jason's right in the mix of about 3 wakes from the boats ahead of him. A little bit of wind added into the mix, and there goes Trevor right by him. Farther upstream now, this is the battle for the lead as Brian is trying to close the gap on Jeremy. Up at the top corner, and watch the turn Jason Young makes to close the gap back up on Trevor. Just exciting racing here in the 3rd heat of CX boats. Back to the bottom corner now, and the positions remain the same. Jeremy 1st, Brian 2nd, Ivan 3rd, Jason 4th, Trevor 5th, Randy House 6th, and Barry 7th. Watch this line Randy takes along the beach to close the gap on Trevor. Definitely using every inch of the river to try to get around him there. You can see that rough water really affecting Trevor's boat as Randy passes him on the inside corner. As Jeremy comes in to take the checkered flag and have his 3rd leg victory in a row, Brian is following close behind when, a miscount on Jeremy's part, and he goes to make a 5th lap by accident. You can see Brian fly by to the finish line in the background. Now, Jeremy has to keep the quarter going and spin back around. This is going to cost him precious seconds. Oh, what a turn of events after leading this entire heat. So the finish of CX Heat 3 is Brian Freeland 1st, Jeremy Hand 2nd, Ivan 3rd, Jason 4th, Randy 5th, Trevor 6th, and Barry 7th. Now on to our A-Class heat race. Tim Greber at the top of your screen gets away first. Looks like Steve Shearing 2nd and Randy Tinnant 3rd. Mike Rose 4th, and current class leader Mark Rodeker is having troubles getting started and sitting in 5th. We hop on board with Mark now as it looks like he's up and running, back in top form again. The bottom corner now, and Tim's still in the lead. Mark behind, Steven Shearing 3rd, Randy 4th, and Mike Rowe 5th. Here's a look at Randy Tinnant. He's running an upgraded CX motor in this A-Class, so he's lacking a bit of displacement compared to some of the other A boats, but still got that thing working well here today. After an unfortunate DNF in yesterday's leg 2, Tim's got to be happy with the lead he's got here today over Mark. On board now with Tim as he rounds the top corner for the last lap. See how fast and smooth his corner is since he's got clean water in front of him. After 4 laps, that's how it ends up. Tim first, Mark second, Steven third, Randy fourth, and Mike Rowe fifth. Now for the start of the U-Spec class. Keep an eye on the bright orange boat of Ryan Rogers, who laid down the 2 fast leg times yesterday. Off the start, Patty Stratton gets a great jump with Dwayne Thomas behind him and Ryan third. Then it looks like Troy Lynn fourth, Louis Rozema fifth, and Rob Pooley sixth. Coming into the bottom corner, Rogers managed to move into second place around Dwayne. Up at the top now, and Patty still remains your leader with Ryan pushing hard, trying to get around him. Dwayne's fallen back a little bit now, but he's still right there in the mix. Oh no, as we head back upstream, Rogers is pulling off the race line and slowing right down. Looks like he's having some mechanical trouble after mixing it up with Patty for the lead. So your current A-Class Unlimited Spec Marathon leader is now out of this heat. Great news for second place boat Dwayne Thomas. This will put him into the overall lead. We'll see what the issue may have been and if Ryan can get that boat going again for the circuit races this afternoon. Very unfortunate for him. Here's the battle for third place. This is New Zealand racer Rob Pooley trying to catch Troy Lynn on the front stretch. So after Rogers' DNF, Patty takes first, Dwayne second, Louis Rozema third, Rob fourth, and Troy fifth. This is our first 2 unlimited heat races this morning, consisting of 3 turbines and 2 piston-powered boats. Roger Preston gets a great start in the center of the pack, with Spencer King not far behind on the top of the screen. Coming into the bottom corner, Spencer King has stretched a lead ahead of Roger Preston, who is on the inside, and John Derry now running third on the outside. Let's take another look at that corner from out of the back of Roger's boat. That's John, you can see up on the left of your screen. Roger's got the choice clean lineup on the inside, putting some distance between he and John. Here's a look at New Zealand racer Johnny Sutherland sitting fourth. A little farther upstream now and on board with Roger. John manages to get around him, but it's a pretty tight race between these 2 boats. Up at the top corner now, and Spencer's still leading. John's pushing in second, and Roger's still hanging in there in third. After 4 laps of great racing, it ended up finishing John first, Spencer second, Roger third, Johnny fourth, and Juan fifth. Now, for our final heat of the morning, featuring the 5 fastest jet boats on the planet. UIM1. Gord Humphreys gets an awesome jump off the start and leads Rick Hollingworth and Darren Weaver under the bridges. At the bottom corner, Gord still leads Rick with Darren just behind. American racer Ross Schlotauer is just ahead of Chad Burns for fourth. Back at the top corner now, and everyone is making it through pretty smoothly. Darren cuts a great corner and makes up some ground on Rick. And you can see Chad takes a really tight inside line and Ross is way outside. Hop on board with Chad through that corner and show you what it looks like looking backwards. Gord still pushing hard, knowing he's got 4 extremely fast boats right behind him. This is a great look at Darren Weaver's 25-foot Brat turbine. As Chad heads back downstream, he gets a little too close to the shore and hits some rocks. It's not an easy feeling at 130 plus miles an hour. Gord goes under the bridge one last time to the finish line. He's followed by Darren, Ross, Chad, and current Unlimited class leader Rick Hollingworth is nowhere to be seen. Gord's got to be happy with this result. After yesterday's racing, he was sitting third behind Rick and Darren, so he's hoping to move up a position or two after today's circuits. As the morning turns into the afternoon, racers make any adjustments, maintenance, or setup changes before the second round of circuits get underway. During a marathon, it's a consistent battle of multiple elements, trying to keep you out of the water and off the podium. Now, on to the afternoon circuits, and again, we start with the FX class boats in Heat 2. We're on board with Craig Sparks, who finished third in this morning's circuit. He's hoping for a good start here to try and beat out Nathan and Grant to the first turn. As we saw, that clean water is so important in these circuit races. Off the start, it looks like Nathan got the jump with Craig second and Cameron Moore third. On board with Kelly, who's sitting fourth, taking this top corner. Heading back downstream now, and Nathan still leads with Craig second. Kelly Locke and Cameron Moore are fighting for third place here with a great tight race happening. At the bottom corner, Kelly takes it way wide while Cameron goes inside. Chase Baggin and James Lawrence also having a great race. Downstream again, and Craig is still sitting second, but Grant has moved up to third and is gaining on Craig. Just like Heat 1 today, Grant didn't start off well, but he definitely had the boat to beat at the finish of the race. You see how close he gets to Craig by the bottom corner. Here's Craig coming into your frame, and right there you can see Grant already into the top of the picture. He's definitely closing the gap for second place. Here's a good battle for fourth place developing between Gage, Chase, and James Lawrence. And you can see Nathan already making his way back upstream. The battle for fourth place heating up more now. That includes Colton Houston into the mix. These four boats are really tightly matched with one another. Top corner now, you can see Craig's Navigator looking behind to see where Grant is. Back downstream, riding along with Craig, you see Grant move past on the inside of this long, sweeping corner. In the final stretch, Nathan McLeod held on to the lead with Grant finishing second again. Craig finished third, Kelly fourth, Cameron fifth, Colton sixth, Chase seventh, James eighth, and Gage ninth. So after 2 days of marathon racing, the Avenge FX class shapes up like this. Nathan McLeod remains your leader with a time of 1 hour, 40 minutes, and 23 seconds. Craig Sparks stays strong at second, Kelly Locke third, Cameron Moore fourth, and Grant Schraffnagel moved up 2 positions from 7th to 5th to round out the top 5. Now on to the first group of CX heats this afternoon. Off the start, Trapper Wolseley gets the jump on the field, with Joel Larson running second and Rick Serhan third. As the skies open up, the rain starts to fall and the water starts to chop up. The racers work their best at keeping their boats in the water. As the racers enter the bottom corner for the last lap, it still remains the same order, with Trapper out front, Darren second, and Rick third. Oh, and Rick spins right around in this choppy water. Now, for the second heat of CX boats this afternoon, Kyle Petluck gets out an early lead with Travis Hodges, Stephen Ford, and Greg Balderston right behind. We're on board with Stephen now, and you can see Greg just to his right side. Heading back upstream now, and Trevor Provost took over the lead from Kyle, while Travis still remained second. And Kyle moved back to third, Stevens in fourth, with Greg just behind in fifth, Derek Nelson sixth, and Jake Barney seventh. Going upstream, and Stephen Ford's pushing Kyle, trying to get into that third spot. Back downstream, and much of the same with Kyle still edging him out by a few lengths. At the bottom corner now, and Kyle goes way wide, opening the door for Steven to make a move. Keeping with this race back upstream now, and Steven's damaged one of his wings behind the bottom corner of our mid-track cam. This is going to definitely cost him some control in these windy conditions and will almost certainly cost him that third place to Kyle. Fast forward now to the final straight, and Trevor remained the leader, with Travis taking second, Kyle third, Steven fourth, Derek fifth, Greg sixth, and Jake seventh. Now, it's time for the third and final Compression Technologies CX Heat of the Day. Off the start, it's too close to call between Jeremy Hand and Ivan Buchholz, with Brian just behind in third, while Barry and Trevor are neck and neck, and Randy in the middle of the pack and Jason Young sitting way on the outside. On board now with Barry Fenton, as he and Trevor Yoakum are sitting only a few feet apart, stuck between the spray of Jeremy and Ivan. While Barry was fighting wakes, this is what Randy was dealing with at the back of the pack. Back downstream now, and Jeremy took the lead with Brian second, Ivan third, Trevor fourth, and Jason fifth. With all the boats still really tight, it makes for an interesting bottom corner on the course. Trevor tries to make up ground on Ivan, but is tossed around pretty good in all the wakes. We'll hop on board and watch as he really has to wheel the boat to keep it from spinning. Back upstream now, and here goes Trevor, but Jason and Randy now are putting the chase on him. Back at the downstream corner, and Jason and Randy managed to get around Trevor, and now they're battling each other, fighting for fourth spot. On board with Randy now as he jumps through Jason's wake, trying to get a better line at the top corner. Easily influenced team is happy to see Jeremy Hand come down the final straight to the checkered flag in first place. After some great racing in all three Compression Technology CX heats, let's check the combined times following day 2 of the marathon. Brian Freeland was your CX Day 2 fastest boat, but it wasn't quite enough to knock Jeremy Hand off the fastest overall time. This ended up bumping Jason Young down to third. Ivan Buchholz jumped from 6th to 4th place, and Trevor Yoakum right behind. Randy Huff, Barry Fenton, Travis Hodges, Trevor Provost, and Derek Nelson round out the top 10. Now on to the A-Class second heat of the day, and we'll pick it up on lap 1 where Mark Rodeker is catching Tim Greber for the lead. The fight for 4th place is on between Mike Rowe and Randy Tinnant as they're side by side headed downstream as well. On board with Mark now, and you can see how the weather's taking a turn for the worse and is really making this water rough. Some New Zealanders seeking shelter from the rain as they cheer on fellow Kiwi Stephen Shearing, who's currently in third in this heat. On board with Steve now, as you can see the rain really coming down out there, playing havoc on the vision of drivers and navigators. As Mike Rowe gets the thumbs up from his team, let's check the overall Peace River Heating A-Class results. Mark Roddicker remains your leader over Tim Greber after 2 awesome heat races today. Stephen Shearing is still sitting third, while Randy Tinnett is fourth and Mike Rowe fifth. Now, on to the start of the Unlimited Spec Heat. Troy Lynn gets an awesome start with Patty Stratton right alongside him and Dwayne Thomas right there as well. Ryan Rogers in that bright orange boat is back racing again, which is great to see after his DNF in Heat 1. This is on board with Louis Roseman. He got away late on the start and is forced to deal with all those roosts ahead of him. Back upstream now is Patty Stratton. He's in the lead with Ryan Rogers now sitting second. Down at the bottom corner, and Patty is still leading with Ryan charging hard behind him. Rob Pooley's now sitting third with Dwayne Thomas cutting a tight corner trying to make up ground behind him. They're followed by Troy Lynn and Louis Roseman. Patty and Ryan check out from the rest of the field. Dwayne Thomas is working hard to get that third place from Rob. In the bottom corner, you can see these guys are having a great battle. Both boats are extremely closely matched. While these two were racing, Louis managed to get around Troy, moving him into 5th place. Patty comes down to take the checkered flag. He's followed closely by Ryan. It's great to see Ryan was able to get that boat back up and running again and closing the gap on Dwayne after his DNF this morning. As Patty comes in to put the boat on the trailer, let's take a look at our Carlin Services Unlimited Spec overall times. Dwayne Thomas moved Ryan Rogers out of the top spot, while Patty Stratton had an awesome showing, winning both heat races and moved himself from 5th to 3rd. Louis now sitting 4th, followed by Rob and Troy. Unfortunately, after that spin-out we saw yesterday, Sean Young was forced to retire from the marathon. Now for the first of 2 unlimited heats this afternoon. This race features John, Roger, Spencer, Johnny, and Juan Quiroga. Off the bat, it's the 2 New Zealanders of Roger and Johnny getting the jump, while John and Spencer are drag racing side by side not far behind them. On board with Johnny now, and you see Roger moving past on the left side. On board with John Derry now, as he's looking to take that 2nd place away from Johnny. 3 New Zealand turbines battling it out with one another here in this heat race. After that bottom corner, John's made up some serious ground on Roger. On board with him now as he moves past Roger into the lead. On board now with Johnny Sutherland, as Spencer King moves into that 3rd spot. Here's a good look at Mexican racer Juan Quiroga, sitting 5th right now in this heat of highly competitive unlimited boats. Riding along with Roger Preston, and it sounds like he's unfortunately having some troubles running upstream. This is too bad after having a good run going in 2nd place. As the rain continues to come down over Peace River, it's not slowing up John Derry much. He's currently sitting 7th overall after day 1 and is looking to use this clean water in this heat to hopefully move up on some of those other boats ahead of him. John Derry wastes no time getting to the finish line at the end of the race, and with Roger out, that moves Spencer into 2nd with Johnny 3rd and Juan 4th. As these 5 finish up and get off the river, the final 5 fastest boats of the marathon are warming up and getting ready for the final heat race of the day right here in beautiful Peace River. With these turbines traveling at well over 130 and in some cases 140 miles an hour, it won't take them long to get by the camera and see who got the jump on the start. Closest boat to that camera, Chad Burns, actually got a great start with Gord just behind him and Ross sitting what looks like 3rd. Back downstream, past the crowd now, and the first boat by is Gord Humphrey. Sitting 2nd is Ross, and Chad Burns just behind him, still holding on to that 3rd position. But just off his side is Darren Weaver working hard to make up some ground. Everyone's racing back upstream, and Darren Weaver was fighting for 3rd, and Chad, it looks like he's fallen off step, pulling out of the race. This is really too bad for Darren, who is currently sitting 2nd in the unlimited overall standings, just behind Rick Hollingworth, who you see go past him. Wow, what a turn of events here in the unlimited class. There'll definitely be some jockeying of positions after this day of heat races. Fast forward a few laps now, and Rick's closed the gap on Chad and is looking to move into that 3rd position. And he manages to get around him. Coming into the final straight now, and Gord's got that boat moving toward the checkered flag. UIM-1 boat is holding true to its title as the world's fastest jet boat here after sweeping both heats of the circuit races in Peace River. Let's take a look at the overall unlimited standings after day 2. As we mentioned, Gord had a great day of racing and moved him from 3rd into top spot. Ross Schlotauer had a great showing as well, moving him 2 spots up from 4th to 2nd. Chad bumped up into the 3rd place spot after Rick had that trouble in the first heat. John Derry managed to make up some time with his clean water in Heat 2 and moved from 7th to 5th, while Spencer King remained 6th.
Now you got a bit of a bullseye on your back after the clean sweep today. How are you going to stay out front for the rest of this World's race?
Well, you know what? Hollingsworth, he's just going to be there. He is just going to absolutely be there. And then, you know, all the other turbines, Spencer King and in the twin turbo, all those guys are right there. We make one slip up, we have one mistake, boom, we're either out of it or we're right back in with everybody. You know, so this is day 2, and we have so much more racing to go. I mean, as everybody's seen today, things happen really fast.
Right. Okay, well, up to Watino and back tomorrow in day 3 of racing. Best of luck.
Thank you.
As mentioned, day 3 of the marathon takes racers from Peace River south to the Watino Bridge on the Smoky River. Once there, they'll refuel and return to Peace River in the afternoon, consisting of 88 total miles of river racing.
Still
Boaters prepare at the Peace River launch, and the first boat away this morning for our 1-minute interval start times is Gord Humphrey. Now following along with Rick Hollingworth in CDN1. Rick dropped from first to fourth after his slow heat race yesterday morning, but he's definitely got a fast boat. So we'll see if he can make up time here on the way to the Watino Bridge and back. This is John Derry now, making his way through some skinny water. John managed to move up a couple of positions yesterday, so he'll want to keep that pace going here today. Following along, 6th place boat Spencer King. As mentioned on day one, Spencer's running one of the only piston-powered boats in this extremely fast, high horsepower unlimited class. Here's current U-Spec leader and hometown racer Dwayne Thomas. And here comes Ryan Rogers putting on the chase. Remember, these boats starting from Peace River 1 minute apart, so Ryan's got a great run going. This is another U-Spec racer, Troy Lynn with the chopper in pursuit. Moving back into the A-Class now, this is Randy Tinnant, and CX racer Jeremy Hand is right off his tail. Randy moves aside and gives Jeremy lots of room before getting into these rapid sections. Now, here's 2nd place CX boat Brian Freeland. A little further upstream, he's managed to catch Randy as well, passing him through a little more risky section here with some chop and rocks on a corner. Coming up to the downstream camera is Mike Rowe, followed by Jason Young. Jason trying to use all the river to get around Mike as efficiently as possible. This is Barry Fenton navigating a set of rapids, getting his bow up in the air a bit, but doing great to keep it out of any rocks. Here's Travis Hodges making his way through now, and Trevor Provost is closing the gap on him just behind. Derek Nelson's not slowing up much through this section, making great time through here. Oh, and Derek tagged a rock there in the corner. Looks like he's still able to keep it going, though. Just that split-second tagging that rock, and I'm sure he'll have some repairs to do on the top end. Back downstream now, and this is Rick followed by Darren heading through some rapids. This is Mexican CX racer Luciano Blanco making his way up to Watino. Here's our FX leader Nathan McLeod. Nathan hasn't skipped a beat so far in this marathon, taking fast leg times in all 4 legs so far, and it looks like he's well on his way for his 5th. On board now with U-Spec leader Dwayne Thomas as he approaches the finish line. You can see off just in the distance. Oh, Dwayne tagged a rock himself. Looks like he just got a bit off his race line and it cost him. Looking out the back of the boat now, you can see tagging that rock like Derek Nelson. Doesn't look like much, but we'll have to see what damage has been done at the top end. Back downstream, and this is Craig Sparks making his way through the rapids. On board with third place CX racer Jason Young as he hits a rock in almost the identical spot Dwayne just did before the finish line. A little farther back in the FX class, and this is Colton Houston making his way around Chase Bagan. Now on board with third place FX boat Kelly Locke. And our camera picks something up just before the finish line. This is Ross Schlauthauer's boat. Ross is second overall in the race. This is too bad. We're just not sure what happened to his boat, but we'll see if we can find out. Ross had a great run going so far in the marathon. Hopefully he can get back up and running again. At the top end now, and Derek Nelson's doing some repairs to the bottom of a CX boat after tagging that rock on the way up.
Yeah, had a little trouble on the way down, up today, and found a rock and got the nose stuffed in, and gonna try and run her back down here. Got a new wing on it.
You can see the damage done to Dwayne Thomas's boat. Unfortunately, too much to fix, forcing him to retire from the marathon.
283 at 210. 301, 211. 241.
First boat downstream on this 44-mile leg ending back in Peace River is Gord Humphrey. We're above Rick Hollingworth now, and we're going to jump down on board with him to give you a feeling of what it's like to travel at these high, unlimited speeds. Chad Burns now, the third boat away, is cautiously making his way through this rock garden. Here's John Derry, our fastest New Zealand racer in the marathon so far. On board with Johnny Sutherland as he races his way downstream. Here goes Roger Preston past our riverbank camera. This is our first unlimited spec boat past the cameras. This is Ryan Rogers. Now that Dwayne is out of the running, that moves Ryan into top spot in the class. Close behind Ryan is Patty Stratton, pushing hard to make up some ground on this downstream run. A couple more U-Spec boats. This is Rob Pooley with Troy Lynn close behind. Here's A-class leader Tim Greber making his way downstream. And fellow A-class racer Stephen Shearing coming down past the camera through the rapids. Stevens got local Peace River and CX class racer Ivan Buchholz pushing him downstream. We'll hop on board with Ivan as he heads downstream with Stevens Roost way off in the distance. And oh, you can see a big wall of water splash in the air off the distance. We're going to zoom in and take a look again. Looks like Stephen Shearing has spun out. Yes, you can see as we pass off to the right side of your screen, Stevens' boat sitting motionless in the water. That's tough luck for third place A boat of that New Zealand team. Farther downstream now, and this is A racer Randy Tinnett giving the camera a wave as he passes by. Now we see Trevor Yoakum racing downstream as we hop on board to see a bit of his run. Another CX racer making great time is Trevor Provost. After some solid circuit runs yesterday, Trevor's moving his way up through the field. Here's a great slow motion look at the quick decision boat of Kyle Petluck. Now, here's third place FX racer Kelly Locke racing past the cameras downstream. On board now with FX01 Swagger. Grant's racing alongside New Zealand racer Cameron Moore. Both boats fighting for fourth place in this FX class right now. Closing in on Peace River now, and this is Derek Nelson gaining on Travis Hodges in the CX class race. Coming right down to the townside finish, and Travis is going to keep him behind, but Derek made up some great ground on that leg. Here's our FX class leader Nathan McLeod coming into the finish line now. This is a really cool look at the driver and navigator of the FX10 boat with Craig Sparks behind the wheel. Craig's coming into the finish just ahead of Clayton Woolsey. The camera crew caught up with Steve Shearing's boat after that spin out. Unfortunately, looks like the boat suffered some damage and is going to be out of the running here for the 2015 A-Class Championship. Let's check the standings after day 3. Nathan McLeod continues to dominate the FX class with Craig, Kelly, and Grant in behind. Cameron Moore sits just behind Grant in 5th, while Gage, Colton, Chase, and James make up 6th through 9th. In the compression technology CX class, Jeremy continues to lead over Brian Freeland and Jason Young, while Trevor Yoakum moved into 4th. Ivan bumped down to 5th, Barry sits 6th, with Trevor Provost moving up to 7th, Travis 8th, Derek Nelson 9th, and Jake Barney moved into 10th. In the A-Class, Mark Rodeker sits 1st, with Tim Greber 2nd. Randy Tinnett now moved into 3rd after that unfortunate DNF from Stephen Shearing, while Mike Rowe sits 5th. In the Carland Services Unlimited Spec class, Ryan Rogers moved back into the top spot with Patty Stratton just behind. Louis Rosema is 3rd, Rob Pooley 4th, Troy Lynn 5th, and after that unfortunate turn of events at the top end, the Day 2 leader, Dwayne Thomas, is now out of the running. In your Brat Jet Unlimited class, Gord continues to lead with Rick Hollingworth closing in on him in 2nd place. Chad Burns continues to sit in 3rd, while Spencer King moved from 6th up to 4th place. John Derry is only 4 seconds behind Spencer in the 5th, with his 2 New Zealand teammates right behind in 6th and 7th. Ross, as we saw, had that unfortunate DNF in the upstream leg and actually forced him to retire from the marathon. Exciting Outlaw Eagle Tidy Trucking Marathon Racing now heads west to Taylor, British Columbia for 2 days of racing on the Pine and Peace Rivers. Day 4 of racing starts off from the Taylor Bridge and heads upstream 30 miles to the Happy Hour Corner on the Pine River. In the afternoon, racers turn around and head back downstream on the same course. Since the Pine is one of the smallest rivers the marathon runs on, racers will be taking off one at a time every minute. Our first boat out of the gate is your overall leader, Gord Humphrey. We managed to catch up with Gord and talk about his game plan for staying out front in this marathon.
It's a home river, so we know this river good, so we're gonna run it hard. We're hoping to extend that lead on Hollingsworth, and he's relentless right now, so we're just driving the boat so hard and the boat's working so well, and we're having a hard time shaking them. So we're gonna hopefully throw the dice and get a little bit more of a lead on them here.
As we heard, Gord's going to be trying to keep ahead of Rick Hollingworth, currently running in second. And here's a great slow motion shot of him racing. Third place overall, this is Chad Burns.
Been keeping the same game plan all along. I just got to, I can't run with the big dogs, those guys. Gordon, you know, there was 4 of them to start. Now 2 are gone, and there's Gordon and Rick left. So I just got to let Rick chase Gord down and just maintain my position. 2 screw-ups out of first, but I'm also 1 screw-up out of last place. So hopefully I just keep my head in the game and just be there. I'm in a good spot right now. Happy with it.
Here comes Spencer King trying to catch Chad Burns. On board now with John Derry in his turbine-powered unlimited boat. This is a great look at Johnny Sutherland, one of the 3 New Zealand racers competing in the unlimited class. Johnny's currently sandwiched between both other New Zealanders, with John ahead and Roger just behind. Although similar paint schemes, this is an altogether different boat than Johnny's. This is Ryan Rogers in his piston-powered U-Spec boat.
It's been a marathon, and we've had some ups and downs, and now it looks like we got him back on the right track. We went up to Watino, and we ran that river a lot. Just never seen it with no water in it like it was, and we pushed pretty hard going up, and then down, and got back in the lead. And so we feel pretty fortunate. But Patty is the man in Whitecourt, and so we're gonna have our work cut out for us.
Patty Stratton sitting second in the U-Spec class, just behind Ryan. Way back to the start line now. We're on board with the first CX boat to take off. This is Jeremy Hand.
We got some tough competition coming in second place there. We just noticed this afternoon. We plugged into a computer into Brian's box to turn our engines down. And we discovered that his engine was turned right down. So, unfortunately, us trying to save his motor is probably going to really put some pressure on me because his boat's really moving now. So,
back upstream now, and we're on board with Rob Pooley racing in the U-Spec class. Up onto the rocks goes Pooley. What we found out later is that his grate dropped out from the bottom of his boat, causing him to nosedive like that and lose control up onto the rocks. Now this is a great race developing, and no, it's not between Louis and the Chopper, but Louis and Juan Quiroga just ahead of him. A little farther upstream, and Louis makes it around the Mexican racer. Back to the racing action now. We're above Tim Greber, sitting second in the A class behind Mark Rodeker.
It's a tough river for everyone, so I believe we'll just run as hard as we can. It's his race to lose, not mine. So I'll just make sure that I'm there if he has any problems.
Nearing the finish line now, and overall leader UIM1, piloted by Gord Humphrey, is sitting motionless in the middle of the river. Both he and his navigator, Chris, are sitting out of the boat. This appears to be a mechanical failure. Devastating turn of events here as that opens the door for Rick, Chad, Spencer, and the rest of the Unlimited class for that top spot. Back into the racing action now, and we're following behind CX racer Randy Huff. Randy was posting some great times in Peace River, but unfortunately suffered a DNF on the downstream run from Watino due to motor failure. It's good to see him back in the running here in Taylor. A couple boats back, this is American racer Jake Barney trying to move up into that top 10 in that ever-competitive CX class. Leading the way in the FX class is Nathan McLeod in his blue-colored boat, Surface Tension. Another great race going on. This is Grant Schraffnagel making his way around Kelly Lock. Coming into the finish line now, this is a close look at Colton Houston and FX22. Up at Happy Hour Corner now, all the boats are beached, waiting for the starts back downstream. As racers try and take this time to rest up, one racer ends up making it to the top end, Rob Pooley. He was able to get his boat back into the water and drive it up to the top side, which is good to see, only with a few more dents and scrapes on the boat from before.
No, it's good once you get going.
Now that Gord's unfortunately out of the running, the first boat back downstream is Rick Hollingworth in CDN1. Just behind Rick is Chad Burns and Bad Habit. Moving up to round out the top 3 overall now is Spencer King. Roger Preston also gained another spot, moving from 7th to 6th position. Here comes our final unlimited racer, Juan Quiroga, past the camera and not too far behind him is Mark Rodeker. Here comes Mike Rowe downstream. He gets a little off his preferred line here. On board now with Troy Lynn. You can see Mark Rodeker slowly making his way into the right side of your screen. This is a great look at second place CX boat Brian Freeland. Now we'll jump over to the third place CX boat of Jason Young, who shipped his CX boat all the way from New Zealand to race the Worlds.
Yeah, well, boat's set up to corner very well and handle the Breda Rivers, so we keep our speed up in our turns well. But over here it's a lot of straight lining, so we're having to think about flying it a bit more and trying to get our straight line speed up. And yeah, it'd be good if the rivers had a few more corners, I suppose.
On board with Barry Fenton cruising downstream. Here comes Jake Barney into that corner that gave Mike Rowe some troubles, and he gets a little off his safe line as well. Right off the start line, this is the FX racer Grant Schraffnagel as he starts this leg 8. You can see his navigator point out the choice lines through this rocky section of river. Oh, he unfortunately tapped a rock. You can hear it cut his motor, leaving him with nothing to do but hold on for the ride. Oh, that was a rough ride for Grant. Back downstream now, and this is Trapper Woolsey trying to make up ground on his hometown course. On board with Rick Hollingworth in CDN1 as he reaches the finish line as the first boat across. There's Trevor Yoakum making his way around Mike Rowe as they get close to the end of the leg. final boat to make its way back downstream is Rob Pooley, limping that U-Spec boat back to the trailer after a rough run upstream this morning. Let's have a quick recap of the class standings following the first day here in Taylor. In Unlimited, we saw Rick Hollingworth take the top spot after Gord's DNF and DNS, moving Chad into second and Spencer into third. But look at John Derry, only 17 seconds out of third place. This could be a great race come tomorrow's circuits. The only movement in Unlimited Spec class came from Rob Pooley, with those DNFs costing him fourth spot over Troy, while Ryan stays in the top spot. A-class remains quite similar from day 3, with Mark over Tim for the class lead. CX also remains pretty consistent with Jeremy, Brian, Jason, Trevor, and Ivan making up your top 5. In the FX class, we saw that unfortunate off-course DNF for Grant Schraffnagel, moving him back to 5th. And Cameron jumps up to the 4th spot. James Lawrence also gains 1 position over Chase, moving him from 9th to 8th. Now on to day 2 of racing in Taylor, BC with the circuit races. This circuit races from the Taylor Bridge upstream to the top corner for the first lap. Then back downstream to the bottom corner. With 5 laps, this course totals 30 miles. The first circuit race is between 6 of the FX boats. Cameron Moore is off to an early lead over Gage Dennis, while Kelly Locke is moving his way up to the front and splitting those 2 boats. Wow, that is great racing. Heading back downstream now, and Grant Schraffnagel didn't get off to an awesome start, but good to see him back racing again after his wreck yesterday. He's making his way around Gage for 4th place. Laps in now, and Grant slowly making his way around Cameron for 3rd place. After an exciting Heat 1, Kelly Locke sets the fast pace and finishes 1st. Colton managed to hold off Grant for 2nd, while Cameron Moore finished 4th. Heat number 2 is between a mix of CX and FX boats. And right off the bat, it's Kyle Petluck in the lead with Nathan McLeod behind him. Into the top corner, and you can see Kyle at the top of your screen with Nathan behind, and we're following Craig Sparks through this corner. This is Clayton Woolsey getting tossed around by some wake as he tries to get around the FX boats ahead of him. Coming into the bottom corner now, and Clayton's made up some ground. Fast forward a few laps, and Clayton is closing in on Kyle now. And coming into the final quarter, Clayton ends up taking the lead and winning the heat. Now on to the start of the second heat of CX boats. Joel Larson gets a great start at the top of your screen. Stephen Ford gets away 2nd, and Randy Huff in 3rd. Heading up to the top corner, and Trapper Woolsey's out front of Joel now with Stephen 3rd. And Randy almost hidden behind Stephen's roost. Up to the top corner, and Joel, Stephen, and Trapper are side by side, while look at the inside line Randy takes. eats a little roost on the way out, but definitely made up some ground. Back downstream with Steven out front and Randy and Trapper side by side now. Down to the bottom corner, Randy's leading the way with Steven just behind and Trapper third. Here's Darren working at getting around Joel for that fourth spot. Oh, and unfortunately, after having such a great race going with Joel, Darren's out of the race with what looks like mechanical issues. Now it's time for Heat 4 of the day between another batch of CX boats. Barry Fenton at the top of your screen gets away first with Derek Nelson just behind him. Jake Barney's third with Trevor Provost fourth. Coming into the top corner, Barry's still out front, but look at that line Trevor's taking up the inside. Oh, and Trevor cuts it too tight and spins out on the inside. Down into the bottom corner now, and Barry leads the way with Derek behind. Travis Hodges is now in third and Jake fourth. Top corner, Travis is pushing hard to try and catch Derek, but in the end, it's not quite enough. As Barry Fenton crosses the line first, Derek second, Travis third, and as Jake rounds the top corner for the final time, pushing extra hard to catch Travis, he loses it and does a half spin. Good driving keeps the motor running and back to the finish line without losing too much time. Now into the final heat of the 5 fastest CX boats currently running in the marathon. All these competitors are tightly matched, so it should be an exciting race. Jeremy Hand gets out to an early lead, followed by Brian and Trevor Yoakum. Up into the top corner, and Jeremy's developed a bit of a lead already. Brian's trying to catch him by taking the inside line. Behind them on board now with Trevor Yoakum, who's chasing Jason Young in third, and Ivan Buchholz moves past on the inside into fourth. Through the bottom corner now, and Jeremy's still extending his lead over Brian. Jason Young cuts a great inside line around the corner with Ivan closely behind him, and all that's left is a chopped up corner with tons of wake for Trevor to have to navigate through. A great bit of driving keeps him in the right direction and even on step. On board with him, you can see how much work he's doing to fight through all the waves ahead of him. After some great racing, Jeremy finished first, Brian second, Jason third, Ivan fourth, and Trevor fifth.
Camera is on. Welcome to second day of racing in Port St. John, 2015 World Jet Boat Championship. You're riding with the Aquaholic.
As you heard there, we're on board with Boat A146 Aquaholic, piloted by Tim Greber and narrated by navigator Brad Sandel.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we're off. What a nice start. Pressures and temperatures are all looking good. That was a beauty start. Holy shit. That felt good.
As Tim gets away to an early lead, he's followed by Randy Tinnett and no sign of A-class leader Mark Rodeker. A little further downstream, our heli camera spotted Mark. Looks like he must have picked up some rocks off the start as he's swimming under his boat to try to dislodge them. This is too bad for Mark as you see Tim pass by in the background for his first lap. After a bit of work, we see that Mark's back up and running. Unfortunately, though, a few laps down by this point. Now, for the start of the Unlimited Spec Boats. We're watching Ryan Rogers and Troy Lynn take off while Patty Stratton and Louis Rosema are just out of the screen. Up to the top corner, and Ryan's put a gap between he and Patty, while Troy remains third and Louis fourth. On board with Troy now as Louis gets by on his left side. Fast forward a few laps now, and the running order remains the same until the finish, with Ryan first, Patty second, Louis third, and Troy fourth. For our first Unlimited heat of the day, Roger Preston gets out to an early start, and due to an unfortunate DNS for Johnny Sutherland, he stayed out front the entire heat ahead of Juan Quiroga. Now for the final heat of the day, and before the heat began, troubles arrived for Spencer King. He gets hung up on a gravel bar just below the bridge, which puts him behind. This opens the door for fourth place boat John Derry, who's only 17 seconds behind him. On board with Rick here as he's right beside Chad, and Rick gets an awesome start. It's Rick, Chad, and John Derry is way off to the left of your screen in third. Down to the bottom corner now, and Rick's checking out in first. While the battle for second is heating up between Chad and John. Here's Spencer making the bottom corner. After that slow start, he managed to get back into the running and isn't actually too far off the leaders. A few laps ahead now, and John's managed to get around Chad for second position, and that's how the heat will finish. Rick first, John second, Chad third, and Spencer fourth. As racing caps off in Taylor, let's take a look at the class standings before traveling over to Whitecourt for the final stop of the marathon. The Unlimited class remained unchanged following day 6, except for John Derry taking advantage of that slow start by Spencer and moving past him into third position. Roger Preston also jumped up past Johnny following his unfortunate DNS. Unlimited spec remains unchanged with Ryan first, Patty second, and Louis third. A-Class also remains unchanged with Mark, followed by Tim, Randy, and Mike. Even the CX class remains pretty much the same, other than Travis Hodges capitalizing on Trevor Provost's spinout, which moved him to the 7th position. Also worth mentioning is the close race for 4th between Trevor and Ivan. Ivan finished 3rd in his heat and moved to within 12 seconds of Trevor for that position. The FX class also remains unchanged following today's racing, with Nathan McLeod leading the way for Craig, Kelly, and Cameron Moore. Now racers get a well-deserved day off to travel the 450 kilometers to Whitecourt, Alberta, as well as get their equipment ready for the final 2 days of racing. Day 1 of racing in Whitecourt, Alberta starts off with the longest leg of the marathon, leaving Whitecourt and heading 73 miles upstream, and of course heading back to Whitecourt in the afternoon. Our first Unlimited racers are in the water and ready for today's start, which consists of 4 boats at a time every 2 minutes. This is our 4 fastest boats in the marathon: Chad, John, Spencer, and Rick. And Rick gets a good start with John right behind him. On board with Chad now, and he got away 4th but is trying to make up time with a creative line off the start. That's a ballsy move this early in the 73-mile-long leg. Upstream a few miles now, and Rick is still leading with John, not too far behind him. Over top of Spencer now, and he's got a pretty good run going. Here sitting in 3rd place. As we push further upriver, Chad is still pushing hard to try to use every shortcut he can. Back into the next wave of boats now, and the first one by our camera is Johnny Sutherland. Running second in this heat is Roger Preston, and Juan Quiroga is 3rd. A few minutes behind those 3, and our first U-Spec boat upriver is local Whitecourt racer Patty Stratton. Patty's using his knowledge of the river to try to keep ahead of the class leader Ryan Rogers, who's running right behind him. Louis Rosema is running 3rd in this group of boats, and Troy Lynn 4th. A little farther upstream, and Ryan is making his way around Patty for the lead. Back on board with Chad as he's still trying to find the fastest lines upriver. Back downstream now, and next group of boats are the A-Class led by Tim Greber with Mark close behind. Mark managed to get around Tim while Randy Tinnant runs 3rd and Mike Rowe 4th. Now, back to the start of the 5 fastest CX boats. This is on board with Trevor Yoakum. Ivan off to the left of your screen, got a great start, followed by Brian, then Jeremy. On board now with Ivan as Jeremy starts to pass on the right side. Oh, and Ivan takes a face full of water and has to get off the throttle, which puts him back to third. Back on board with Trevor, approaching the first major turn, and oh, he spins, losing his front wings in the process. You see Jason Young go past him. This is too bad for Trevor, who's sitting in fourth and only seconds ahead of Ivan. On board with Jason, you can see Trevor off to the left of your screen. Just an unfortunate spin here upriver. A little farther up now, and Jeremy's still leading. Great shot of that Outlaw Eagle boat. And Brian not too far behind, as you can still see Jeremy's wake there ahead of him. Following along now with this great CX battle, this is just above Jason Young, while you see Ivan Buchholz in the right of your screen. It's cool to see the different line choices available here racing upstream on the Athabasca River. These two boats are so closely matched with one another. Trevor Yoakum, following that unfortunate spin, is just fighting to finish this leg now, knowing he's going to have to make up some time on the way back down. On board, looking out the back of Mexican racer Juan Quiroga's boat. Looks like he got a little off course here. After a bit of sightseeing, he ran aground and was forced to get a hand from one of our valued support boats. Back to the start line now, on board with Travis Hodges in the third heat of CX Boats Away. Travis breaks off from the pack, taking the line Chad did off the start here, and it really pays off for him as he jumps back into the main channel in first place. Riding along with Trevor Provost, racing just behind Travis in second in this tier of boats. He's quick enough to keep up with Travis, but not quite quick enough to get around his long rooster tail in the early stages of this leg. Now upstream a ways, and as the river straightens out, you can see the couple of mile-an-hour Trevor has on Travis and manages to get around him. Now you can see Barry Fenton moving in on the left side of the screen around Trevor. Lots of jockeying of positions going on in this tight heat of CX boats. Back to the start line now, on board with Randy Huff. Trapper Woolsey to the right of your screen gets the jump off the start, while Stephen Ford to the left pulls away in second. That puts Randy in third ahead of Darren Cage. Up to the first corner now, and Randy's moved into second place. Oh, and he spins out almost the identical spot where Trevor Yoakum spun out as well. Past our upstream cam now is Steven, followed by Trapper. And off in the distance you see Randy. He's definitely not out of the running on this long 73-mile leg. Back on board with Randy now as he's getting around the leader, Stephen Ford. On board with Steven now, and Randy's checked out entirely from the frame, but oh no, he's lost a wing off the front in this rough water, narrowly missing Steven's navigator and Brother Dale. That'll cost him some boat speed as he heads upstream. Back to the start line of the final CX heat on board with Luciano Blanco. Clayton Woolsey gets the good start with Joel Larson behind and Kyle Petluck third. The first boat past the camera is Joel Larson in this heat, with Kyle a little ways behind him. Off the start of the FX heat, Nathan McLeod got the jump while Cameron was running second. Craig Sparks off on the right side starts making his move past. Cameron Moore following closely, second place FX boat Craig Sparks. Both boats taking slightly different lines through this off channel. Now above FX class leader Nathan McLeod as he crosses the finish line up at the Berland River Bridge. We'll head back downstream as the final FX heat passes the camera. Two unlimited spec teams debriefing one another after this long run upstream. Some teams are busy working on their boats while some drivers resting up before the long leg back down to Whitecourt. The boats are back in the water to head downstream now with our top 4 overall boats racing first. Rick gets another great start, followed by John, while Chad and Spencer are slow to get on step. A little bit further into the race now, and Chad's managed to get around John for second. On board now with John as he passes full speed through this tight section of river. Here's 4th place boat Spencer King racing downstream. The first boat away for the second group of boats is Johnny Sutherland, and not too far behind is Roger Preston. Fast forward a bit until nearly the end of their heat and check out how close both of these boats are after 73 miles of racing. On board with Troy Lynn for the start of the Group 3 boats. Patty gets an awesome start while Ryan Rogers is a little behind him on the left of the screen. Troy beat Louie off the start. On board with Jason Young in the first CX heat, he's racing next to Jeremy Hand. few CX heats later, and Randy Huff is making his way downstream, but getting a little off track here. Now on board with Cameron Moore as Kelly Locke makes his way by him on the right side of your screen. This is Colton Houston trying to make his way around James Lawrence in the FX class. Oh, you can see Colton's navigator pointing to another line. It looks like they're taking the wrong channel into this tree. Farther downstream, and they manage to get back going again and into the race. As everyone gets back to Whitecourt and leaves the longest day of the marathon behind them, they look forward to the final day of racing, the circuit races in Whitecourt. It's a 5-mile course consisting of 6 laps. Racers take off in front of the Whitecourt Rotary Park and head upstream to the top corner, then head back downstream to the bottom corner and around for the entire 30 miles. The first heat away are 3 FX boats. James Lawrence gets the jump off the start over Colton and Grant. After 6 laps, Grant remained the leader. Colton took second, and James finished the heat in third. On board with Craig Sparks now for the start of Heat 2. Nathan McLeod leads the way with Kelly Locke just behind. Craig is sitting fourth but making his way around Cameron Moore. Into the bottom corner now, and check out the inside line Cameron takes to move into third place. Cameron's definitely got these corners dialed, but it's not quite enough to get past Kelly for second. So after 6 laps of this circuit, Nathan McLeod rounds the final corner of the 2015 marathon to take the checkered flag, securing him as the world's fastest FX class jet boat racer in 2015. Congratulations, Nathan. We caught up with him to see what it took for him to take the class championship.
But we did have a lot of late nights. We had some rock issues going up the Watino, and spent the next day on the press. It was a good thing it was a day off, because it would have been a bad day the next day. So we got the engine out and pressed it out and got done at about 2 in the morning, and so got the boat back together and was ready to run the next day.
Nathan, after finishing so well in the Canadian circuit for the past couple of years, and now this year winning the FX championship in the Worlds, what's the next step for you in racing?
We'll definitely be going up. We got some options on the table, and we'll just consider them in the next few months here and probably make a decision.
Jump back to the start of the CX class as Darren Cage leads Joel Larson. But look at the skinny line Kyle Petluck is taking in the bottom of your screen. Moved Kyle right up into second place. Into the bottom corner now, and Kyle, who's sitting second, spins in the corner, allowing Joel to get around. He gets it spun back around now as he gets back into it, only losing that one position. Back upstream, and Clayton's trying to get around Kyle, but look at the wild ride he goes on. After 6 laps of racing, Darren finished first, Kyle second, Clayton third, Joel fourth, and Luciano fifth. Now for the second heat of CX. Trapper Woolsey is leading Steven and Randy into the top corner. Into the top corner with Trapper still leading. Oh, heading out of the corner, Steven spins. That puts Randy into second. Into the bottom corner now. Trapper still out front. Oh, and Randy spins taking the inside line. That puts Steven back into second. These guys just going back and forth. After 6 exciting laps, Steven managed to get around Trapper to take first, while Randy finished third and Derek Nelson fourth. Heat 3 of CX now. Brian Freeland leads with Trevor Yoakum behind Travis Hodges third and Trevor Provost fourth. But look at Travis taking that same skinny line that Kyle did. Let's see if this helps him out. And it does. Travis moves into second coming out of that. At the bottom corner and Brian still leading. Travis takes the inside line, making up some time, but oh, just catches the edge on the way out of a corner and spins right around. So, following another 6 exciting laps of racing, Brian wins with Trevor Provost second, Trevor Yoakum third, and Travis Hodges fourth. For the final race of the CX class, this is down between our top 4 CX boats, where the world champion will be determined from this finish. Third place overall, Ivan Buchholz gets the jump off the start, with Jeremy Hand close behind, Barry Fenton third, and Jason Young fourth. Up through the top corner, Ivan cuts the middle line. Jeremy goes outside while Barry is way inside. Oh, and Ivan gets an awesome run out of the corner and takes the lead from Jeremy. Back downstream now, and Jeremy just edges out Ivan. Jeremy again taking that outside line, leaving it wide open for Ivan to move past on the inside and take the lead once again. On board with third place boat Barry Fenton now as he takes a good line through the middle. And as this heat comes to an end, Jeremy Hand, fitting to the rest of the marathon, comes down to the checkered flag out front. After an awesome, hard-fought race in the super competitive CX class, Jeremy Hand is your 2015 CX Class World Champion.
Well, Mike, it was a good class to be in. We started with 22 boats. I don't know what we finished with. It was probably around the 17, 16 mark, but yeah, no, it was good. We had a good crew. We had some good prep work, and we had some clean legs. The clean legs really saved us. Had we been up all night, beating on boats and straightening stuff out, we probably would have been a little worse trouble. But as it turned out, we came through a few clean legs, and we came out on top. We had a rough one in the last one though. The last leg there, we pulled up the start line and our alternator died. So we had 15 minutes to start, and I looked at the navigator, which is the crew mechanic, and I said, what are we going to do here? We're going to pull in and grab booster pack. He said, well, I think we're going to be able to make this one. And we got 10 minutes too, and he looked at me and goes, we better pull in. So we beached the boat on the boat ramp, and we grabbed a booster pack, and we yelled booster pack when we got on, and there was about 7 booster packs come running towards us. And we strapped the booster pack up on the battery, and we threw an extra one beside us, and we went around the leg. And first corner, we weren't used to the boat. in that tight a corner. It was the first time we've run this boat in a race corner like that, and so we hit gravel and we knocked the lead off of our battery, and I seen the voltmeter drop, and I went to go adjust the wings, and there was no wing adjustment. So we put the wings where we thought they'd be, and the rest of the race we pedaled it through with no wings, no GPS, just ran her full out.
Congratulations to Jeremy. We jump now to the start of the A-Class heat race. And Tim Greber, who's sitting second in the class behind Mark Rodeker, gets a great jump off the start. Mike Rowe behind, and Mark working his way up to second.
Mike Rowe's in second place. This is the last shot. Should be her. If not, we'll do her once more.
As Tim heads to the finish line first in this final heat, it won't be enough to knock Mark Rodeker off the top spot of the overall A-Class. So as Mark rounds the final corner of the 2015 marathon, he's happy to finally have this grueling marathon come to an end and cap it all off with an A-Class World Championship title.
Mark and Spencer Rodeker, congratulations, guys. How does it feel to stand atop the World Championship leaderboard?
Well, it's still a little bit trying to sink it in a little bit, because I worried about it for the last 10 days, I guess. That's what you think about the whole time. And last night at 4 o'clock in the morning, I was still worrying about it, checking the weather. But it's amazing. It's great to have it over, and finally the nerves will kind of settle down a little bit. We worked hard and we did the best job we could, and I'm just so happy and so proud of my son to help me out that we were able to accomplish what we set out to do.
Now on to the final unlimited spec heat of the day. Ryan Rogers in that orange boat is holding on to a little more than a 3-minute lead over Patty Stratton in that green boat, while Louis sitting third overall and Troy fourth. Patty gets a great start with Troy in behind and Ryan pushing in third. On board with Troy now, sitting third as he passes under the bridge. Coming into the final turn of the Unlimited Spec Marathon with Patty out front, but look at this gesture of camaraderie. After 500 miles of racing, Patty pulls aside and lets Ryan head to the final checkered flag of the 2015 marathon first, where he belongs, finishing this race as the Unlimited Spec World Champion.
We came up here and we've been testing for 6 months, as hard as you can test, and to compete with guys like Patty Stratton and Dwayne Thomas and Louis Rosema and many other guys, and we feel really lucky that we won, but it wasn't easy. I mean, we had lots of failures on parts and pieces and oil coolers and drive lines, but the boat worked really well, and it's neat that all the motors from these A-Spec motors are working out, and we're just excited about the growth of that.
Off the start of the first Unlimited heat, this is down between Johnny Sutherland, Roger Preston, and Juan Quiroga. Roger Preston jumps out to an early lead, but by the top corner, Johnny is out front. Johnny takes the corner way wide, while Roger manages to jump into the lead. Into the bottom corner now, and watches these super fast New Zealand turbine boats take this bottom corner in the same line as their FX team racer Cameron Moore. Following 6 laps of great racing, Roger holds off Johnny for the lead and Juan finishing third. Now, the final heat all the fans have been waiting for. This is to crown the 2015 UIM World Champion. Chad Burns, Spencer King, John Derry, and Rick Hollingworth all line up. The boats all have a few minutes separating one another, but a DNF or a really slow time in this heat could knock Rick out of first place, giving the win to Chad, John, or even Spencer. Off the start, Rick gets a jump, while fourth placed boat overall Spencer King is sitting second and Chad Burns third. As they approach the top corner now, Rick gives lots of room for both Spencer and Chad. Coming out of the corner now, and Spencer and Rick are side by side. Rick going way wide again for Spencer, but not one of these three boats are letting up. Into the bottom corner now, and Rick's the first boat to appear, but Spencer's taking the inside line, which has proven to be the fastest in this circuit. Spencer King having an awesome run here, showing that the Pistons can definitely run with these turbines here in Whiteport. As the heat comes to an end, our attention turns from Spencer in the lead to Rick Hollingworth in second place. As he comes into the finish, he's coming into the UIM1 Unlimited and overall 2015 World Jet Boat Championship.
Boat CDN1 now turned UIM1. Rick, Jody Hollingworth, you guys put on an awesome show here in the Unlimited class in the overall standings. Came out hot in Grand Prairie. You guys had the lead. You lost it in Peace River. Gord took over, and it was his home race there in Taylor, which was a little bit unnerving. And then now you're here in Whitecourt, and you got the lead. How does it feel, you guys?
It hasn't sunk in yet, I don't think. But the last couple laps, we were counting laps, and Spencer took an extra lap on us, and we were going to pull over and said, well, let's just do it just to be safe. We didn't want to take no chances, so we had the flag out, and we said, let's just fly this flag high and be some proud Canadians.
Almost a victory lap for you guys. Jody, you were holding the flag. How did it feel?
It was really hard to hold at that speed, but I hung on to it. It was a great week. A few ups and downs, but in the end, this last day was very nerve-wracking, but here we are.
A lot of the turbine boats this year run into some mechanical issues that they couldn't overcome from the marathon and continue racing. How did you guys keep your boat together this entire marathon?
We, I don't know if it was lucky or we were thinking it was bad luck coming into the marathon because we had about 7 or 8 breakdowns right 2 days before the marathon started, and pulled some all-nighters and put all new parts, new pump, new shafts, and just every second race we were changing pumps and just wanted to make sure it lasted. And this high horsepower turbines, they wreck a lot of stuff.
Well, it looks like all those late nights paid off. What's next for the UIM1 team now? You guys leaving Canada here 2015. You guys got plans for 2016 Worlds yet? You guys looking that far ahead, or are you just going to soak in the victory for now?
Right now we're going to soak it in. We've got offers to run down to Lewiston. We'll probably try that, but that's where the Worlds are next year. U.S. puts on a heck of a show down there, so it won't hurt to have one race before the Worlds, and we'll see what happens after that.
So you guys going to stay with this hull design, this motor, this power plant, this package is working pretty good for you?
Yeah, there's no use changing now. Whatever works, we'll run it as long as we can.
Well, it feels good to make it to the end and finish, without a penalty, without any, major screw-ups on my part or major mechanical failures, so that feels good.
Yeah, you guys did have the longevity behind you. Is there anything you're going to be looking for a couple more mile an hour, let's say, to keep up with some of those higher horsepower turbines out there?
No, probably a new boat, if anything. That's probably the only way we'll be able to keep up to those guys. That 21-footer doing 140 mile an hour gets a little sketchy.
Is there anywhere where that boat really performs well? Are you going to keep it for, say, New Zealand races or anything like that?
No, I don't know. I don't think. It's got its spots. It accelerates good and corners well. But the long legs of those bigger boats, they're doing a 10 mile an hour more than me. So maybe get another boat. Maybe we'll see.
All right, we're here with the U-36 team. John Derry, pilot of that boat. The quickest guy from New Zealand, we'll say. You finished third overall. Are you pretty happy with your results?
Yeah, look, very happy. It's been a long event and we worked pretty hard at the boat and yeah, it's just great to be at the finish line and be on the podium's even better actually. So yeah, it'd be nice to be number one, but I guess number three's not all that bad either.
What's your strategies, let's say, for coming into 2019 Worlds in Canada? Are you going to set your boat up a little bit different program, or what do you think?
2019? Really? I'll have to talk to my wife about that one first. But yeah, look, we'll be back. We love Canada. We come here, obviously, most years to do a bit of boating. So yeah, we'll look forward to coming back and maybe plan towards America next year.
What is the biggest difference between the New Zealand rivers, where you fare up really well, held the NZ1 title for a while, to come to Canada and be it just a little bit, a few mile an hour off the top, let's say? Is there a little bit of different strategy, a little bit different boat setup you're going to plan for?
Yeah, well, look, one, we might find some more power and be a bit faster. The guys at the top have got some bigger horsepower turbines, so they're going well and they've got their boat set up fantastically. So we only ran that boat for the first time this race, so for us it's been a bit of a big learning curve, and I think next time we're here we'll be a lot wiser, probably a bit quicker. These guys run the rivers really fast over here. We're clearly at home. We're all about finishing the league, so we need to get a bit used to that.
The race went over really good. There was probably the fastest unlimited class we've ever had in Canada's history. I'd say the world history, because there was 3 boats over 150 miles an hour, and probably 6 over 140 miles an hour.
Brian, from your perspective as an ex-racer, you've been around jet boat racing a long time. Are you surprised to see this amount of unlimited boats show up in a turbine class, going those speeds? Where does the sport go from here in your perspective?
I was really happy to see that many turbines, but I was especially happy to see Spencer open his up in the circuit race and kept Ricky back. He was really putting it on just to show the old piston engines are still out there.
Well, Brian, congratulations on an awesome run, World Marathon. I think racers, organizers, volunteers, and everyone can agree that it was an extremely smooth event and well competed for sure.
Thank you very much.
Now, as we review the final times following all these days of racing, we congratulate all racers, navigators, team members, family members, volunteers, spectators, and sponsors who made this 2015 Outlaw Eagle Tidy Trucking World Marathon possible. In the Brat Jet Unlimited class, Rick Hollingworth takes the UIM title. Chad Burns finished second, New Zealander racer John Derry third, Spencer King fourth, Johnny Sutherland ended up fifth. The Carlin Services Unlimited Spec class was won by USA racer Ryan Rogers. Patty Stratton finished second, Louis Rosema third, Troy Lynn fourth, and Rob Pooley fifth. Your Peace River Heating A-Class World Champion is Mark Rodeker, while Tim Greber finished second, Randy Tinnant third, Mike Rowe fourth, and Steve Shearing fifth. The Compression Technology CX Class World Champion is Jeremy Hand. Jason Young finished second, Ivan Buchholz third, Barry Fenton fourth, and Brian Freeland fifth. Nathan McLeod ends up your Avenge Oilfield FX Class World Champion with Craig Spark 2nd, Kelly Locke 3rd, Cameron Moore 4th, and Grant Schraffnagel 5th.